In this video, we're going to take a look at creating the resource for technical graphics, which depicts the typical constructions needed for creating an auxiliary projection. The aim of this resource is to develop a resource for the students to see physically and 3D what's actually happening during an auxiliary projection. So to explain the model a bit more, this outline that we have here is going to be the base of the project onto which these constructions and views are going to be engraved onto. The white lines you see there are the drawings that you would produce on a typical sheet. They're engraved onto it, and also the green lines you see there are the construction lines needed to get the elevation and the true shape of the surface cut. To zoom in, these orange rectangles here depicting finger joints that are going to accept two vertical planes that will show the elevation and the true shape of the cut surface. These will be etched onto clear perspex, from which you'll be able to place the object actually cut, the physical object that's cut behind it, and the students will then be able to see what's actually happening during the auxiliary projection. The main and key skills involved in producing this resource is very few. We have the rectangle, fillet, creating angled lines, line types, inserting text, creating layers, and line thicknesses. Okay, so to begin, I'm going to create the base for this project. It's going to be 300 by 230. So I'm in my drawing views. I've already set my layers. Refer to the previous tutorials to show how to create layers. So I'm in my drawing views. I'm going to create a rectangle now. Specify the first corner of it. So I want it to be 300 by 230. There's my rectangle for that. Okay. Now I'm going to explode this. So now we can see we're all separate entities. Now I want to start off by drawing the plan of the object here. So now I'm going to offset a couple of these lines. So I already have that offset 10. But offset the bottom line here of 10. This is kind of giving me the starting point, as you mentioned. 45 in from the left hand side. Now this is giving me a starting point to create my base rectangle for the object, which is going to be 80 by 80. You can now delete these offset lines. To the left of a rectangle, I also want to explode that rectangle. Now, to create the cut we've been given, I'm going to offset this line here, distance of 55 millimeters. These dimensions, they're estimated. Now, my cut surface is going to be cut at an angle of 60 degrees. I'm going to create a line here that goes from up here at 60 degrees. Okay, but remember how polar coordinates work, counterclockwise. So we see here this is at 90 degrees. If we keep an eye on the degrees tab there, it's going increasing from 90 degrees. So if we want to get a line that's at 60 degrees there, it's going to estimate it at 80 millimeters long, tab 120 degrees. And that is our line at 60 degrees. Now, I'm going to trim off these lines. They're unnecessary. Now, that's the plan of my cut object drawing. You also might want to refer to drawing these as you would draw them on a drawing sheet. Now what we want to do is project up our elevation from the plan. So using light construction lines. So I'm going to now draw up the elevation. I'm going to keep the elevation about 60 millimeters away. 60, enter, tab, 90 degrees. I'm going to copy that line here, select, copy it from the corner there, and across. Copy it from there, and escape it in command. I'm going to draw a line between these two top points here, which is going to act as a temporary XY line. I need to extend this line up. Just select all the lines, choose to extend, and let's extend it up. Now, earlier I referred to orange rectangles that were acting as finger joints. These were to accept 3mm clear perspex. So just temporarily, I'm going to offset this XY line 3mm. I'm going to offset that line 50mm high for the height of my actual object. That's at 50mm. I now want to extend on these construction lines once more. Okay, so now I can go back into my drawing views and go over my construction lines that I just created. Enter again. Now, that is my elevation complete. I can trim the green lines in between our original XY and the 3mm offset. We will come back to this later. Okay, I now need to draw the constructions for getting the true shape of the cut surface here. As you recall, this line here is at 60 degrees, so we need a line going at 90 degrees to that, which will be at 30 degrees in our drawing or on our sheet here. So I'm going to estimate the line to be at 150mm, tab 30 degrees. And if I was to annotate that, and dimension that as an angle, I should get 90 degrees. So let's just do the reference to make sure I'm correct. Best to check that early on. Now go back home and copy this line. Select the object, hit enter, select your base point, and just drag it to each of the corners. I'm now going to draw in another temporary x1, y1 line. I'm going to estimate this at 100mm long, tab 60 degrees. Now I'm going to also extend that on. Now I also need to offset this a further 3mm again, for the same reason as we did in the elevation, to accept our finger joints. Enter to end the command, enter to reactivate the command. Now 50mm high again. So now we can extend all our construction lines up to meet. Back into our drawing views. Select the line. I'm going to go over the construction lines that we've just created there. This is the back corner. So as you know, we will need to create this in broken detail. So I'm going to my layer here. I can select the dashed line. I can trim that. Now, turn my construction lines off. You'll to see that there's the three views that we've created using our construction lines. They're going to be etched onto our baseboard here. Okay. Now I'm just going to turn them back on. Now, I'm now going to turn my attention to creating the finger joints that are going to accept the vertical plane or the 3mm perspex. So into my layer, into finger joints, I'm just going to create a line between these two offset lines here, which is 3mm thickness. Okay, and enter. Just to keep things easy and simple, I'm going to select a distance of 10mm to offset this line. This is going to be the width of our fingers for the finger joints. I'm just going to keep offsetting this till I reach the end. Okay. For clarity, I'm going to hide my construction lines for now. And now I'm going to create a line between every second one of these. So enter to end the command, enter to begin it again. And obviously this one will be left as it is. Later on we can actually set these orange layer as 0.00 thickness. So it's going to vector, it's going to cut them out. So that's our finger joints created for our elevation. I turn back on my construction lines. I want to do the same here for my true shape. So I want to begin by trimming the green line in between the original X1, Y1 and the 3mm offset. Take note, I always start at the left hand side. This will be important for recreating the finger joints for the plane later on. So I'm in my finger joints layer, up to create a line again. Do the same as what we did for the elevation. I'm also going to offset these distance of 10mm, it's already preset for us there. Turn off my construction lines layer again. Start creating the finger joints in between here again. Now, there are my finger joints created for the true shape plane. Turn back on my construction lines. You can see exactly what's happening there. Okay, just while we're on the base itself, might as well add in the text of what the project actually is, so we know it's the auxiliary projection. Scale that up by highlighting it. Scale, we need to specify a base point. We scale it to. Seems a bit small, we can scale it again. This is a matter of preference. Scale it to 2 again. Text it again. You can write your name or the date on it on the bottom here if you so wish. Let's see for scale. Specify the base point. Factor of 2. I'm happy with that. Just to reposition it again. Suits me. Now I'm going to fillet the corners of this rectangle while I have the chance here. Just going to fillet. Select the object. Down arrow again. Radius is highlighted. Hit enter. Specify the fillet radius. I want a fillet radius of 30. So fillet again. Fillet again. So select the first object just to go over this. The down key once more. Radius, hit enter. Specify the radius of 30, hit enter. Last time. Select first object. Down arrow twice. Enter. Radius is 30. Enter. That's our base. Pretty much completed. Now, what we want to do now, if I turn off my construction layers, we want to create 2 more views outside of this view itself. In other words, we want to create this elevation and this true shape elevation, so that we can cut this and etch this on 2 separate pieces of plastic or perspex. In other words, the 3mm perspex, so they can act as our vertical planes. So simply what I'm going to do here is to copy all this selection here, specify a base point. I'm just going to drag it up to the top here. Escape. We do the very same. This one here. Select the entire object. Copy. Select a base point. Roughly in line. There. Now, as you can see, this one's at an angle. It's very easy to come over this. Just highlight the entire object and rotate it. Specify a base point and specify there. The rotation angle, because its tilt is 30 degrees, I'm going to tilt it back at 60 degrees. Now it is in the horizontal position. So we can highlight this, move it over beside our elevation. Now, these are now our 2 elevations that we need for etching and I'm going to create a piece of Perspex on the screen as a drawing that's going to act as a vertical plane. It's going to be cut out, whereas this view here is going to be etched onto it. So I'm going to just create a border of 15 millimeters all around this. Now I'm going to fillet that again. Radius of 10. Now, from here, if you can remember that these were our finger joints that we created earlier on. The space inside the rectangle is the part that's going to be removed. So we need to create fingers that replicate what we've already drawn. So if I draw a line, to use my finger joints layer for this, I'll draw a line all the way across here. I'm going to offset that distance of 5 millimeters for the thickness of our base. And I'm now going to extend our finger joints down onto them. There's our finger joints created for the elevation. Simply repeat this process to get the view for the projections for the end elevation, or for the true shape. The only remaining thing to do here is to actually set all the lines to your zero thickness, or to your etching thickness. This has already been shown to you in previous tutorials, but just to give a very quick overview of it. This base here, all of this base, needs to be cut out, as well as the orange rectangles there that we see. So we need to set those to, if you can remember, a thickness of 0 millimeters. That's a cut, it's a vector cut. This is comparable to the elevation that you see here, which needs to be etched, which can be put in as a thickness of 0.3. As you can see, the lines have changed there. Also, to point out that our construction lines need to be trimmed. So to turn off our drawing views, we can now trim the remaining parts of these, as these will be etched. Doesn't matter what these ones have been trimmed, as they'll be covered over with the perspex anyway.